Lifting weights is the easy part. Going to the gym, showing up, that's not that difficult. Even a 5-year-old or someone brainless can do that. The difficult part is staying consistent after not seeing the results. And after being in the fitness industry for almost 4 years now, I understand and see why most people give up or why they can't push through to end up seeing their goals, seeing their results, and not getting to the destination that they want to be. Hi guys, what was that? Hi guys, my name is Matthew. I'm an online fitness coach, and I'm here to provide you guys as much value as possible. Let's get right into the video. So, what do people struggle with the most, and why don't they get the results? They don't struggle with going to the gym because, you just show up, you lift some weights. That's not that hard. Progressively overloading, that's a little bit more difficult, but we can talk about that in another video. That's not the point of this video. Staying consistent, it's not as hard as this next point that I'm going to make, but staying consistent is easier once you follow this next point that I'm going to make. And people don't stay consistent because they don't see the results that they go for, and therefore they give up. But the reason that you don't see the results that you want, and the reason that I almost gave up, and I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. I've been doing this for so many months, and I'm not losing the weight, and I'm not seeing the definition in the muscles that I want, like I see other people achieving, is because you're eating wrong. You haven't been taught how to eat. The school system teaches you math, they teach you science, they teach you all this other things that, yes, play their role, are important in their own aspect, but we're never taught how to eat to look a certain way, how to eat to feel a certain way, and how to eat to perform a certain way. And yes, you could take, university, college degrees, but at least a basics in when we're young, when we're, even in high school, should be taught to us. So in this video, I'm going to kind of break down how to eat to look a certain way and basically give you guys a brief outline as to what you should be doing in order to achieve the goals that you want to do, achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So there's really 3 goals that people can really go for. There's bulking, putting on size. Then there's cutting, getting rid of fat. And then the third one, not so common, but it's more for like my style of people, which is skinny fat people, where it's body recomposition. You're at a decent weight. Let's say for me, like I was at like 180 pounds, but I didn't look the 180 pounds that I saw other people in my weight and height class division look like. So this is where body recomp comes into play. So the first 2 are pretty self-explanatory and they're obvious. If you want to lose weight, get on a calorie deficit, that's cutting. If you want to gain weight, get on a calorie surplus and start bulking. But then the third one, body recomp, it's a little bit different. And the reason it's different is because it requires a little bit of a different approach. So for me, what I struggled with the most was I wasn't obese, I wasn't overweight, and I wasn't anorexic. I wasn't, this twig with bones coming out of his skin basically, and you could see his skeletal system. I was in the middle, but I still didn't like the way I looked with my shirt off. I didn't have the confidence that I wanted, nor the muscle mass that I needed to look the way I wanted to look, because I wanted to look like, for example, that one scene from Captain America when he comes out of that incubator tube. He's jacked, he has definition, and he has a visible 6-pack. Those were like kind of my 3 main goals when it came to my physique and overall appearance. So what I did wrong was I approached it in a way that everybody was telling me, oh, just bulk and put on size. Yeah, that works, but it also takes a longer time. So you can, bulk up to whatever, put on as much muscle, as much fat as you want. But the problem with that is, since you're already in a skinny fat stage, your insulin sensitivity and your insulin resistance isn't the most optimized. So what you're going to be putting on rather than muscle is mostly fat. And obviously the longer you do this, the longer you lift, the more muscle you will put on. But then it's going to be that much harder for you to cut, and it's also going to be that much longer. Most of us want results yesterday. Obviously with bodybuilding, obviously with putting on muscle, and obviously with, recompositioning your body, it takes a little bit more time than yesterday, but it's achievable in 3 to 6 months doing the things that you want to do correctly. So this video isn't going to be talking about cutting, because if you want to cut, just go on a calorie deficit. It's not going to be talking about bulking, because if you want to just put on size, eat in a calorie surplus. So how do you recomp your body to allow yourself to develop that physique and that look that you're going for? Like for me, the Captain America one. Obviously, like I said, you could take the long way, bulk for a couple years, 3 years, and then just cut down. Or what you could do, which is a faster way, and what I would do differently if I was to redo it again, is something I like to call recomp. I don't know, there's nothing really to call it, but it's just called recomp. And how you do this is, first you got to figure out, okay, am I skinny fat? Yes. I'm not anorexic, so I don't need to bulk. I'm not obese, so I don't need to cut. I just need to go from 180 pounds, fluffy, to 180 pounds muscular. And the best way to do this is to figure out first what your body fat percentage roughly is. If it's above 15%, then your insulin resistance is a little bit on the lower end. You're not that insulin resistant, you're not that good at, your body isn't good at handling glucose. And if you're below 15%, then you're on the better side. So let's start if you're above that 15% mark. What to do? Well, the first thing that I would do is, your goal, whether you're above or below, whatever, is to get to roughly around 10% body fat. This is the sweet spot. This is where your body can handle glucose, it can handle carbs in an optimal state. And what I would do with this is put somebody, if you were my client, I would tell you, okay, let's get you on a slight calorie surplus, keep your protein high, lower your fats, and have a moderate carb consumption. Not, depending on your body weight, 300 grams of carbs, not 400 grams of carbs, but between that 150 to 200 grams of carb range, where your body can still manage it, but you still give your body the carbohydrates for the energy that are needed, but you're not overdoing it. But you're mostly focusing on protein to try to build as much muscle, so that when you get down to that 10% body fat, you still have some definition. But the goal is to get you down to that 10% body fat in order to make you more insulin resistant and make your body more susceptible to carbohydrates. Because then let's say you're at 15 plus, you're slowly working your way down. Now you've gotten down to in a slight calorie deficit with high amounts of protein. Now you've gone down to that 10% body fat percent level. Now you can introduce a slight surplus, not a massive one because you don't want to get fat, but a slight one, 100 even to like 300 calories. And what you're going to do from here now is you're going to do a mini bulk. You're not going to be putting on, your goal is not to put as much size on as possible, but rather to fill out, because you've depleted yourself, you've kind of got rid of all your glucose, and now your calories have been brought down. What you want to do now is slowly introduce more calories in order for you to fill out. Do you understand? Like, picture a man, like picture yourself, what you're at now. Let's say you're at 15% body fat. You're struggling. So what you do instead is you bring yourself down to a slight calorie deficit, keeping the protein high, because we still want to, especially if you're like a newbie lifter, put on as much muscle as possible. Bring the calories down, keep the proteins high in a calorie deficit, bring you down to that 10% level, have your insulin resistance really high, so that you can actually, use carbs to your advantage and use them to put on muscle rather than fat. Get you down to that 10% level, slowly increase your calories, keeping the proteins the same and adding more carbohydrates now. Now we're filling your body up with carbohydrates. Now we're filling your body up with more calories. And now that your insulin resistance and sensitivity is a lot more sensitive, you can actually use that to your advantage and put on that size quicker. Okay? Because you're not going to put on more muscle just by, this whole false narrative, oh, I'm going to bulk up to like 200 pounds and that'll be it. No, because especially if you're skinny fat, you're still technically fat, meaning you're like above whatever, 15, 16, even like around 18% body fat. So we need to get rid of that fat first. And this isn't like a cut where it's like a drastic cut like most bodybuilders do, but rather just like a slight cut where it's targeting your fat, but you're still building muscle at the same time. Because the problem with the skinny fat physique is that you're fat, but you're also not muscular. So you want to get rid of the fat, and then as you're getting rid of the fat, build muscle at the same time in order for you to grow into the physique and into the shape that you want to look like. So let me know if you want any other videos on these type of topics. Comment in the comment section below. But just to break it down once more, above 15% body fat, if you're not already at 10% body fat, anything above 10%, make it your goal to get to 10% while keeping the proteins high, and then just keep your fats low, like 40 grams, and then backfill with carbs just to have your maintenance, your deficit around 500. Get to that 10% body fat. You'll build some muscle along the way because you're keeping your protein high and you're progressively overloading and you're lifting heavy. Then what I want you to do is increase the calories slowly with carbohydrates. Because your insulin sensitivity is strong now, you'll be able to pack on strictly muscle and you're not going to be packing on fat. And then eventually get to your maintenance and just main gain from there. Because you're not, unless your goal is to like compete in all this bullshit, then sure, just keep cutting and bulking. But for most of us, for us average individuals who don't want to be professional like posers on the stage, etc., it's not our goal. Just main gain. That's it. Get down to 10% body fat, increase your calories with carbohydrates, get to that maintenance level, maybe even like a slight 100 to 200 calorie surplus eventually once you reach that maintenance, and then just cruise from there from the rest of your life. And I promise you, this is how you get out of the skinny fat physique, and this is how you should be eating for your goals. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. Check out the links below. Peace. I love you guys.